Your miraculous story is still being written. Discover God's divine transformation and redemption in the days of Joseph, son of Jacob, as the sun warmed the fields of Canaan and the shepherds' fires glowed in the valleys. A story of envy and dreams unfolded. Jacob, the patriarch, had favored Joseph, gifting him a magnificent coat of many colors, a symbol of his affection and acknowledgement. This extravagance ignited a flame of jealousy in the hearts of Joseph's brothers, who toiled unceasingly in the fields. Joseph, only 17, bore dreams that took flight in the night, visions that proclaimed his rise above them, even as the sun, moon, and 11 stars bowed before him. Such revelations stirred awe and resentment. In his youthful innocence, Joseph shared these dreams, unwittingly sealing his fate. One fateful day, as he approached his brothers among the flocks, they conspired against him. Their hearts hardened, they cast him into a deep, dark pit, where the air grew stale with betrayal. In his cries for mercy, echoed only by the shadows, he wondered how love could so swiftly turn to hatred. Yet amidst despair, Joseph clung to faith, the stories of his forefathers ringing true in his spirit, the covenant promise that his God would never forsake him. After a time, his brothers, overtaken by an insatiable greed, pulled him from the pit. They sold him to a caravan heading to Egypt, deceiving their father with bloodied garments. Thus, Joseph's journey began a path wrought with trials, yet guided by divine presence. As a servant in Potiphar's house, he found favor, his integrity shining amidst the shadows of deceit. Yet, temptation loomed large when Potiphar's wife sought to ensnare him. In righteous refusal, Joseph remained steadfast. The price of his fidelity saw him wrongfully imprisoned, his dreams seemingly dashed. Even in the dank darkness of prison, hope flickered. Years passed, but Joseph's God-given gift of interpretation remained, leading him to interpret dreams for Pharaoh's cupbearer. Yet, once released, the cupbearer forgot him, until one day, the king of Egypt himself required understanding of troubling visions that haunted him. God orchestrated this divine encounter, a moment ripe with providence. As Joseph stood before Pharaoh, clothed not just in humility but a spirit refined through suffering, he revealed God's plan of impending famine and salvation. The once abandoned brother now wore the crown of wisdom, gathering grain for the years of scarcity to come. There he stood, a beacon amidst despair, all of Egypt bowed before him. Yet, the weight of betrayal lingered in his heart, a secret held tightly as memories of those he once called brothers haunted his thoughts. Then a famine struck Canaan, driving Jacob's sons to seek sustenance in Egypt. And as they approached, their faces carved by guilt and desperation, the man standing before them bore the visage of their memories, their brother whom they had forsaken. Would he let the chains of their past bind him, or would he extend the grace only God could offer? Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select All Notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. As his brothers stood before him, their voices quivered with emotion, dread consuming their hearts. The internal struggle within Joseph echoed the spiritual tension, torn between the fabric of his past and the thread of divine redemption. The pivotal moment approached. Would he exchange the scars of betrayal for the balm of forgiveness? The air grew thick with suspense as hope and reconciliation lingered on. The horizon, a divine appointment waiting to unfurl. Joseph gazed upon the faces of his brothers, their distress manifest in hollow eyes and bowed heads. He remembered the laughter they once shared, the joyful days in the fields of Canaan, now eclipsed by betrayal and guilt. In the depths of his heart, a conflict raged, mingled with memories both sweet and bitter. Joseph, he declared, his voice cloaked in authority yet betrayed by concealed pain, I am your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. The words struck like arrows, piercing through their souls. Fear gripped them, for they understood not what manner of man stood before them, clothed in authority yet holding their shared past in judgment. Yet, in Joseph's heart, there stirred a longing for restoration. He remembered the promise of God that rested upon him, the dreams that heralded a destiny greater than he could ascertain through the veil of his suffering. "Do not be distressed," he urged them, "and do not be angry with yourselves for selling me here, for God sent me ahead of you to preserve life." His proclamation echoed the divine wisdom imparted during his darkest hours, a testimony of God turning evil into good. The brothers looked up, confusion mingled with hope sparking within their weary hearts. "You speak of preservation? We sought to destroy you. How can this be?" Joseph's eyes softened as he spoke. "The famine has been severe in the land, and God foresaw the need, positioning me as guardian of this nation." He moved closer, each step testament to the grace he now extended, a brother's love rekindled by divine orchestration. The impending revelation lay heavy in the air, for he yearned for their understanding and repentance. "Come, draw near to me." His voice, now woven with compassion, compelled them to speak of their father, Jacob, the man whose heart ached in despair, believing his son was lost forever. As they recounted tales of home, tears streamed down their cheeks, remorse pouring forth for deeds agreed upon in that dark moment. And still, Joseph remained steadfast, the providential hand of God weaving a tapestry of redemption before them. "Go back to Canaan," he commanded with unwavering gentleness, "bring our father here to me. And I shall provide for you all during the years of famine." Growing silent, he gazed upon them, awaiting the response that would echo through generations. How would they confront the consequences of their actions and receive the grace offered from one they cast aside? The brothers exchanged glances, uncertainty wafting on the breeze. Then, Judah, the fourth brother, stepped forward, reminded of their father's grief. "We shall return," he pledged, his voice firming, "and we will bring our father to you." As they departed and Joseph stood alone, the weight of the moment bore down upon him. Would they return, or would they remain encased in fear? He lingered, praying for a spirit of reconciliation to prevail, for the threads of his destiny were intertwined with theirs, a family fractured yet on the precipice of God's restorative work. In the stillness of the palace, a deep conviction surged: God was at work beyond their understanding. The stage was set for divine reunion, leaving both Joseph and his brothers trembling before the possibility of renewal. Yet, as darkness fell, Joseph wrestled with a closing thought, a stirring within his spirit. He recognized that this was but a chapter in God's greater narrative, one that would echo through the ages, a testament of faith, love, and promise yet to unfurl. How will God's plan manifest in the hearts of those who once betrayed? The answer lies ahead, cloaked in his sovereign grace. As dawn broke over the land of Egypt, a new day heralded both hope and anxiety. Joseph stood at the threshold of his palace, the dreams of his youth coalescing into the presence of his brothers. With their departure, he felt the gravity of what lay ahead. His heart throbbed with expectation and dread, as he prayed earnestly for Jacob's heart to be steadfast, that he might receive his sons and fulfill the divine plan foreseen in ages past. In the land of Canaan, the brothers traveled with heavy hearts, the weight of their confession pressing upon them. They recalled their father's anguished cries, the day their hands were stained with treachery. "Will he believe us?" Reuben whispered, fear weaving through his spirit. "He must," Judah replied, gathering courage, "for the truth now stands before us, and we carry the grace of Joseph to our father." As they reached the familiar tents of Jacob, the warmth of home felt both inviting and foreign. The brothers exchanged pained looks, for they knew the moment of revelation was nigh. Jacob, still mourning his supposed loss, met them with open arms that quickly surrendered to bewilderment as they delivered the news that would turn sorrow into astonishment. "Joseph lives!" they exclaimed, their voices trembling with the weight of deliverance. Jacob's gasping disbelief shifted to a radiant yet hesitant joy, for the thought of his son thriving in the land of Egypt seemed beyond the realm of possibility. "Is it true?" he questioned, his soul yearning to believe. With fervent hearts, they recounted Joseph's exalted position and the divine favor that orchestrated their return. But even as they spoke, doubt clouded Jacob's heart. It was not until he beheld the gifts sent from Joseph, a caravan laden with provisions and festive fruits, that hope ignited within him. The aged patriarch's heart trembled, and the weight of joy overcame the burden of grief. "It is enough," he uttered, clutching his chest. "My son Joseph lives, and I shall go to him before I die." With renewed purpose, Jacob gathered those he loved and set forth toward Egypt, guided by faith in the promise that flowed through his bloodline. His son's life would herald their restoration. As they journeyed, God's voice whispered through the wind, propelling them toward the fulfillment of a covenant that would extend into generations yet to come. Meanwhile, in the palace, Joseph prepared for their imminent arrival. His heart danced in expectation, one beating as the promise of reconciliation unfolded before him. "This is the moment," he whispered to himself, "when I stand before my father once more, ready to unveil the power of forgiveness." He filled the halls with sweet fragrances, recalling the sweetness of family, the unblemished joy that all too briefly shadowed their life in Canaan. As the weary company approached, a sacred anticipation enveloped the land. All of Egypt seemed to hold its breath, awaiting this reunion ordained by heaven. The gates of the palace swung wide, revealing Joseph standing regal yet humble, adorned in the royal robes of his office. His eyes sparkled with tears unshed, and his lips quivered in a silent prayer of thanksgiving. But God was not finished, for this meeting signaled more than a family reunion. The manifestation of divine providence was at hand. A chapter of history was about to be written that would shape an entire nation, drawing forth a legacy from the depths of sin and sorrow. As Joseph beheld his father across the hall, he knew that their story held a significance beyond comprehension. What further wonders lie ahead in God's plan? He pondered, for he sensed a greater purpose waiting to be revealed, a purpose intertwined with trials yet to unfold, a promise that would echo through eternity. And it came to pass, when Jacob and his sons drew near unto the palace, a stillness enveloped the air, thick with emotion and expectation. Joseph's heart raced as he approached the threshold, eyes fixed upon the figure of the father he thought he had lost forever. "Is that my father?" Joseph breathed, a sweet agony filling his heart. As he crossed the distance between him and Jacob, every step resonated with the weight of profound loss and a love nearly extinguished. The moment arrived and he stood before Jacob, who gazed at him, wide-eyed and trembling, a mixture of disbelief and budding hope kindling within his aged frame. And Joseph fell upon his father's neck, weeping as he embraced him tightly. "I am Joseph, your son whom you thought dead," he said, voice thick with emotion. "Do not be afraid, for God has sent me before you to preserve life." Jacob's heart, once heavy with sorrow, now overflowed with life anew as he felt Joseph's warm embrace. "Is it truly you?" he gasped, and as he stepped back to behold the visage of his beloved son, his heart raced with reminiscences of days long past. "I thought I would never see you again." In that moment of reunion, a radiant joy pierced through the shadows of their history. "Come, my father, bring your household and dwell in the land of Goshen," Joseph implored, "for the famine is intense and I will provide for you." Thus, Jacob, filled with wonder, relayed to Joseph the precious details of his journey. "Indeed, God has shown me great mercy. The sorrow of my soul is turned to joy, and I shall see you before I breathe my last." Then Joseph, drawing his brothers close, spoke with purpose, "Do not be grieved, nor angry with yourselves, for it was not you who sent me here, but God. He has fashioned a destiny for us all, aligned with his greater plan." For even as the brothers cast guilty glances, they were reminded that God works all things together for good, as it is written in Romans 8:28. As Joseph reconciled with his brothers, he revealed the dreams that foretold of their journey, a vision not yet fully complete, stretching far beyond their immediate comprehension. Days passed, filled with preparations for the family's migration into Egypt. Jacob observed the bustling activity around him, the caravans prepared to shelter them from the hardships of the famine that ravaged Canaan. Amidst the thriving tapestry of life within the palace, Jacob marveled at how God had turned their darkness into light. And when the time came, Joseph presented Jacob before Pharaoh, and the king bestowed favor upon the aged patriarch. "What is your age?" asked Pharaoh, and Jacob replied, "The days of my pilgrimage have been few and painful. I have not attained the years of my fathers." In richness of life and in trials, Jacob recognized the providential hand of God at work, teaching him to see beyond the natural eye. Upon their settling in Goshen, God's sovereignty was made evident. Joseph ensured that his family was given the best of the land, a promise held in his heart to honor the covenant established by God with his forefathers. Yet even amidst this newfound hope, the weight of destiny loomed, for Joseph understood, the journey they embarked upon was fraught with trials yet unspoken, as God's plan unfolded through generations to come. Will our legacy be forged in the fire of tribulation? Joseph mused, his spirit stirring with a righteous anticipation. And in that moment of contemplation, he sensed that the tapestry of their lives would soon weave through trials that would bring forth deliverance, a story much larger than his own. For the story was still being written, and God's redemptive plan was not yet fully revealed. What trials lay before them, and how would God shape a nation from this family? The truth that awaited would echo throughout history, whispering the unmatched sovereignty of the Lord who guides his people through obscurity into glory. And it came to pass, after many days, that Joseph set his heart upon the well-being of his family and sought to provide for them not only in sustenance but in wisdom. He gathered the sons of Jacob, saying unto them, "Hearken, my brothers. Though we dwell in the land of Goshen, a land of plenty, we must remain faithful to the Lord our God and remember the covenant he made with our forefathers." As the days turned into weeks, the children of Israel flourished in Egypt. Their flocks multiplied, and their harvests were abundant, yet Joseph knew that this season of favor could not last forever. He understood that the hearts of men often wander, and he admonished them continually, saying, "Do not forget the Lord, for he is the one who brought us from the depths of despair. Remember that it was his hand that guided our paths. Let us be a light in this land." And so, Jacob's family prospered, building homes and gathering wealth, but still an unease crept into Joseph's heart. He often stole away to the fields, staring into the horizon, pondering the dreams that once visited him in his youth. Could it be that the shadows of destiny were beckoning once again? During one such time of solitude, the Lord spoke unto Joseph in the silence of the evening. "Joseph, son of Jacob, know that I have placed you as a vessel in this place, not only for your family but for a nation that will rise from you. The trials that shall befall them are not without purpose, for I am crafting a deliverance that will manifest my glory among my people." Immediately, Joseph's heart swelled with both fear and honor, for he knew that God's voice would not be taken lightly. He returned to his family, gathering them beneath the stars that shone brightly in the Egyptian sky. "Listen, my beloved ones," he proclaimed, "the Lord has spoken to me of the days to come. Prepare your hearts, for we shall face trials that may cause us to tremble. But do not despair, for through faith and unity, we shall overcome, as our forefathers did before us." The brothers listened intently as Joseph shared the glimpses of the future he had received. "You must be brave, for soon the ways of this land will turn against us. The king will rise against our people, and there shall be a great oppression. But know this, the God of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Jacob is with us, and he shall bring us forth from bondage into blessing." In the hearts of the brothers was kindled a spirit of fear and strength intertwined. They could not fathom the depth of what lay ahead, yet the promise of God stirred within them a commitment to endure. Joseph, seeing their struggle, encouraged them, saying, "Take heart, for the Lord is a refuge and strength, he is our ever-present help in trouble." Psalm 46 verse 1. We are but a small family now, but through these trials, God shall raise a great nation that will carry his name. As the days waxed and waned, whispers of discord began to reach Joseph's ears. The Egyptians began to look upon the Israelites with suspicion, fearing their growth and prosperity. And thus, Joseph's spirit stirred with the urgency of a coming storm, for he understood that God's redemptive plan was irrevocably intertwined with their suffering. Will we indeed be made a great nation only through the fire of affliction? He questioned beneath the breath of night. And as the stars above began to awaken in the stillness, he realized, their miraculous story was still being written, each chapter poised to reveal the grandeur of divine transformation and redemption. What would follow in the shadows of hope and fear? How would God navigate this family through unforeseen tribulations and forge a nation from their tribulations? When the time came for their cries to be lifted unto the heavens, would the Lord answer? The answers lay hidden within the unfolding narrative of His sovereign grace. And it came to pass, in the days that followed, that the tide of favor began to turn against Jacob's family, as the Lord had warned through Joseph. The Egyptian ruler, driven by fear and jealousy, grew troubled by the burgeoning population of the Israelites. He called forth the scribes and wise men of the land, demanding answers. What shall we do to subdue this increasing multitude? For if war arises, they may join our enemies and overtake us. The wise men counseled him, saying, Let us set taskmasters over them, let them be oppressed by burdens, and their labor shall keep them under control. Thus, the Egyptians imposed harsh labor upon the Israelites, forcing them to build store cities, Pithom and Ramses, to fortify the land against perceived threats. The burdens grew heavy upon the backs of Jacob's descendants, and their cries for relief rose up to the heavens. Yet, in the midst of despair, the Lord was not distant. He turned His ear to the afflictions of His people. As the Israelites toiled beneath the yoke of oppression, their faith began to falter. The fear that Joseph had sensed in their hearts now gripped them like a serpent, squeezing the breath of hope from their souls. They questioned, Has God forgotten His covenant? Will He not deliver us from this suffering? But Joseph, filled with the Spirit of the Lord, walked among them, emboldening their spirits. Brothers, do not lose heart. Remember the God who delivered us from famine. Though we endure trials, He has not abandoned us. For His promises endure even when the night seems long. The lamentation of the Israelites grew louder, echoing through the night as they beseeched the Lord for salvation. And in the stillness of dusk, the Lord spoke again to Joseph, saying, I have heard their cries. Now arise, for I will send you forth to lead them. For my purposes will prevail, and through you, I will bring forth a great deliverance that shall be a testament unto my glory. In this divine moment, Joseph felt the weight of his calling. He gathered the elders of Israel, speaking with urgency, Listen to me, chosen of the Lord. He has revealed His plans. We must be steadfast and trust in His might. He shall raise a deliverer from among us, for the days of liberation draw near. As Joseph proclaimed these words, the hearts of the people were lifted, and hope flickered like a flame against the darkness. They rallied together, renewing their commitment to remember the Lord's mighty works, recounting to one another the stories of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the fathers of their faith. In this renewed spirit, there came a young woman, a daughter of the tribe of Levi, whose name was Jochebed. She heard the words of Joseph and felt the stirrings of faith arise within her. For she was with child. The Spirit of God had placed within her a promise that she would give birth to one who would be a vessel of deliverance. In the shadows of bondage, she prepared her heart, for she believed that God would yet fulfill His word. And lo, as the Israelites bore their trials, the promise of God loomed ever closer. The stage was being set, and the hope of liberation was intertwined with the cries of the oppressed. What would transpire from this fervent prayer and faith? How would the sovereign hand of God bring forth His mighty deliverance through the life that was soon to be born? The tapestry of His divine plan was being woven together in unseen ways, each thread leading to a day of reckoning, where the glory of the Lord would shine forth in the darkest of valleys. And it came to pass that in the fullness of time, as Jochebed bore her child, a sense of anticipation filled the air. The Israelites continued to labor under the weight of oppression, the sound of their toil mingling with the cries of newborns in a land fraught with despair. Yet among them was the promise of God's deliverance, concealed within her womb, and as the labor intensified, so too did her faith. In the quiet of her dwelling, Jochebed prayed fervently, recalling the words of Joseph and believing in the imminent arrival of a Savior. "O Lord, hear my plea. Your people are in chains, and our cries ascend to you. May this child be a vessel of your salvation, as you have declared through your servant." Her heart burned with hope, knowing that in her humble state, the Lord had chosen to weave a profound miracle. At the same time, the Pharaoh, determined to quench the spirit of the Israelites, decreed a cruel edict, commanding that every male child born to the Hebrews should be cast into the Nile. This tyrannical mandate echoed like a death knell, filling the hearts of the Israelites with dread. Yet, in the midst of this grave injustice, the Lord was orchestrating his plan, unseen to human eyes. As the days lengthened, Jochebed gave birth to a son, and the beauty of the child shone like the dawn. She named him Moses, for she prepared to draw him out from the waters of affliction. In the shadows of fear, she hid him for 3 months, concealing the promise of God from the eyes of destruction. But as the days wore on, it became impossible to keep him hidden. With a heart full of resolve, Jochebed took a basket made of bulrushes and daubed it with tar and pitch, securing her precious son within. She placed it amidst the reeds by the bank of the Nile, committing her beloved boy to the Lord's care. Then she turned, her heart heavy with both hope and sorrow, knowing she could do no more. Yet God, in his divine providence, was already arranging the hands of fate. The daughter of Pharaoh came down to bathe in the river, and as her eyes beheld the basket, a stirring enveloped her heart. She uncovered it and found the child weeping, and her soul was moved with compassion. "This is one of the Hebrews' children," she exclaimed, filled with the weight of both pity and purpose. Miriam, the sister of Moses, watched from a distance, her heart racing. Gathering her courage, she approached the princess. "Shall I go and call a nurse from the Hebrew women to nurse the child for you?" she asked, knowing well the hand of God was at work. The princess agreed, and before long, Jochebed was reunited with her son, able to nurse him and raise him, even for a season, in the very court that sought his destruction. In this remarkable chain of events, the hand of God was undeniably at work. Each moment crafted with meticulous purpose, revealing the depths of his sovereignty and grace. The cries of the Israelites would not go unheard, and through the tears and trials, a deliverer was being shaped. As Jochebed gazed upon her son, she trusted that he would fulfill the prophecy of deliverance. Each heartbeat echoed in her ears as a reminder of the covenant the Lord had sworn with their forefathers. Little did they know that the true unfolding of divine intention was upon the threshold, and through Moses, the hearts of multitudes would be set free. Yet even amidst this flicker of hope, a greater mystery lingered. For while Moses was destined to lead, who would prepare the people for their deliverance? What trials awaited them on the path ahead? The sovereign plan of God was shrouded in a veil, whispering promises yet to come. And with every act of faith, the tapestry of redemption continued to unfurl, hinting at a grander story that would sweep across the ages. And it came to pass that as Moses grew, he became strong in body and spirit, and the favor of God was evident upon him. In the royal courts of Pharaoh, surrounded by the treasures of Egypt, he learned the ways of the Egyptians, yet deep within him, the heart of a Hebrew thrummed, guiding his steps back to the plight of his people. One day, while observing their burdens, he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his own kin. His heart stirred with righteous anger, and he looked this way and that. Finding no one, he struck down the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. But the deed was not concealed long, the voice of injustice would not be silenced, and soon it reached the ears of Pharaoh, who sought to put Moses to death. Fearing for his life, Moses fled to the land of Midian. There, under the shade of the mountains, he came upon a well. And as he rested, the daughters of the priest of Midian approached to draw water. When shepherds came to drive them away, Moses stood up and defended them, watering their flock. They returned home and told their father, "An Egyptian delivered us from the hand of the shepherds, he even drew water for us and watered the flock." The priest, named Jethro, welcomed Moses warmly, and in time, Moses took Zipporah, one of Jethro's daughters, as his wife. In Midian, Moses found refuge, yet the cries of his people echoed in his mind, a constant reminder of the burden he could not escape. As years passed, the mighty hand of the Lord was still with the Israelites, even in their agony of labor. Their cries ascended to heaven, and God remembered his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He knew their sorrows, and he remembered the promise he made to deliver them from bondage. Meanwhile, Moses tended the flocks of his father-in-law, and one day he led them to the far side of the wilderness, to the mountain of God, Horeb. There, as he approached the mountain, he beheld a sight that startled him: a bush that burned with fire, yet was not consumed. The holiness of the moment enveloped him, and he heard a voice call from the midst of the flame, "Moses! Moses!" His heart trembled, and he answered, "Here am I." The Lord said, "Do not come near, take your sandals off your feet, for the place on which you stand is holy ground. I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob." Moses hid his face, in fear of looking at God. Then the Lord spoke, saying, "I have surely seen the affliction of my people who are in Egypt and have heard their cry because of their taskmasters. I know their suffering, and I have come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians." As the divine revelation unfolded, a profound destiny was pronounced over Moses. "Come, I will send you to Pharaoh that you may bring my people out of Egypt." In his heart arose a mixture of fear and awe, for Moses knew the weight of what was to come. He answered, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the children of Israel out of Egypt?" The Lord's response was powerful, "But I will be with you, and this shall be the sign for you, that I have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you shall serve God on this mountain." Little did Moses understand the magnitude of God's plan: a deliverance that would echo through generations, a confrontation against the powers of this world. The journey of redemption was set into motion, yet even greater trials awaited. The heart of a nation trembled on the precipice of history, and the promise of God's sovereign hand was poised to reveal itself through the struggles that lay ahead. What would it take to loosen the grip of oppression? What trials would forge them into a people worthy of promise? The purpose of God was unfolding, shrouded in mystery, whispering of a destiny far greater than Moses imagined. A divine transformation began, setting the stage for the liberation of his chosen ones. And it came to pass, as Moses stood in the presence of the Lord, filled with wonder and trepidation, that he sought to understand the enormity of the task set before him. "What shall I say to the children of Israel?" Moses asked, unable to comprehend the weight of the message he was to deliver. The Lord replied, "I am who I am. Say this to the people of Israel, I am has sent me to you." This name, Yahweh, resounded with the power of eternity, a declaration that would set the captives free and rally a people to their divine destiny. Moses, still grappling with doubt, said, "But behold, they will not believe me or listen to my voice, for they will say, 'The Lord did not appear to you.'" In response, the Lord provided signs to strengthen Moses' faith. "What is that in your hand?" he asked. "A staff," he replied. The Lord commanded him to throw it down upon the ground, and it became a serpent, and Moses fled from it in fear. "Reach out your hand and catch it by the tail," the Lord instructed. As Moses did so, the serpent turned back into a staff in his hand. "This is so that they may believe that the Lord, the God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has appeared to you." Yet, Moses still hesitated, voicing his lack of eloquence, saying, "O my Lord, I am not eloquent, either in the past or since you have spoken to your servant, but I am slow of speech and of tongue." The Lord's anger was kindled against him, yet he responded with grace and purpose. "Who made man's mouth? Who makes him mute, or deaf, or seeing, or blind? Is it not I, the Lord? Now therefore go, and I will be with your mouth and teach you what you shall speak." Then, with a heart weighed down by unworthiness, Moses finally pleaded, "O my Lord, please send someone else." The Lord, knowing the resolve he had placed within Moses, was steadfast. "Is there not Aaron your brother, the Levite? I know that he can speak well. Behold, he is coming out to meet you, and when he sees you, he will be glad in his heart. You shall speak to him and put the words in his mouth, and I will be with your mouth and with his mouth, and I will teach you both what to do. As Moses accepted the call, the burden of his inadequacies began to lift, replaced by the recognition of the power that the Lord would wield through him. Empowered by divine promise, he returned to his father-in-law Jethro, saying, "Let me go back to my people in Egypt to see whether they are still alive." With Jethro's blessing, Moses set off toward Egypt. Alongside him went Aaron, his brother, bringing forth a spirit of unity as they journeyed together back to the land of bondage. The presence of the Lord was with them, an assurance that echoed the promise of deliverance. As they arrived, the elders of Israel gathered, and Moses and Aaron spoke the words of the Lord to them. The people listened, their hearts stirred at the proclamation of hope. The faithful cried out in response, "The Lord has visited his people and has seen their affliction." Yet the road ahead was fraught with difficulty, for they had yet to confront the might of Pharaoh, the very embodiment of oppression. Little did Moses and Aaron know that this confrontation would reveal the heart of Egypt, shattering the silence of suffering and ushering in a series of divine wonders that would bring about the liberation of a nation. The stage was set, the pieces were falling into place. The hand of God was writing an even greater story, one that would transcend generations and proclaim his glory through the midst of trials. For as they prepared to confront Pharaoh, the whisper of divinity echoed in the depths of their souls, revealing that the true battle had only just begun, and the resolve of heaven was determined to lead his people to the promised land. Would their faith withstand the trial ahead? Would the cries of a nation transform into songs of deliverance? The unfolding of God's sovereign plan beckoned the dawn of a miraculous story yet to be written. And it came to pass that Moses and Aaron stood before Pharaoh, the ruler of Egypt, his heart hardened like stone, leaving the cries of the Israelites unanswered. "Let my people go," Moses declared boldly, the words resonating with the weight of divine authority. Yet Pharaoh, filled with pride and fury, retorted, "Who is the Lord, that I should obey his voice and let Israel go? I do not know the Lord, neither will I let Israel go." The air crackled with tension, for the Lord had orchestrated this confrontation, a stage set for the divine to display his power. And so, in the face of defiance, God prepared to unleash a series of plagues upon the land, signs and wonders that would bring forth both judgment and opportunity for the Egyptians to recognize his sovereignty. The first plague descended, the waters of the Nile turning to blood. The fish died, the river stank, and the Egyptians were unable to drink. Yet Pharaoh's heart remained unyielding, his magicians duplicating this sign, blinding him to the truth. As the plagues unfolded, torment struck the land. Frogs swarmed the houses, gnats covered the dust, flies plagued their homes, livestock succumbed, and boils broke out upon man and beast. Each judgment seared into the fabric of Egypt's pride, yet Pharaoh continued in obstinance, refusing to let the Israelites go. Then came the locusts, devouring every green thing left in their wake, and a darkness enveloped the land, a thick darkness that could be felt. In these moments, the Lord demonstrated his might, all the while reminding Moses that their journey would not be without suffering or challenge. Each act of defiance required a greater display of power, steering the hearts of both Egyptians and Israelites toward the fulfillment of his covenant promise. Finally, the last and most terrible plague was decreed, the death of every firstborn in the land. The air grew heavy with sorrow and dread, yet for the Israelites, a promise shone bright. The Lord commanded Moses in solemnity, instructing each household to select a lamb without blemish, to smear its blood upon the doorposts and lintel. "When I see the blood, I will pass over you," he declared, "and no plague will come upon you to destroy you." As the night fell, the cries of mourning echoed throughout Egypt, while the Israelites beheld the sign of God's mercy and protection. The heavens witnessed the shedding of innocent blood, a foreshadowing of the greater deliverance to come. For that night, the Lord fulfilled his promise, and Pharaoh finally relented, urging Moses and Aaron to take the people and depart from his land. As the Israelites emerged from bondage, they asked of their Egyptian neighbors for articles of gold and silver, and the Lord caused them to find favor in the eyes of the people, so that they plundered the Egyptians as they departed. But their journey was far from over. before them lay the Red Sea, a barrier that threatened to stifle their newfound freedom. Yet God spoke to Moses, "Lift up your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea, and divide it, that the people of Israel may go through the sea on dry ground." With faith ignited, Moses obeyed, and as the waters parted, Israel crossed upon dry land, each step echoing the faithfulness of God and the depths of his salvation. As the Egyptians pursued, blind to the hand of God, the waters crashed upon them, sealing their fate. No longer would the cries of the Israelites be heard in the shadows of oppression. They had crossed from death to life, ensconced in hope and destiny. In the wilderness, they wandered, nourished by the bread of heaven and guided by a divine cloud by day and fire by night. Each trial would reveal not only their frailty but God's unwavering faithfulness. They grumbled and questioned, yet in the depths of their wandering, they learned that great faith arises amidst uncertainty. And it came to pass that Moses ascended Mount Sinai, where God revealed the law and the covenant, inscribed upon tablets of stone. The people, once trapped in bondage, now held the keys to living in harmony with their Creator, a testament to his enduring love and guidance. As the generations passed, the story of their deliverance echoed through time, a proclamation of God's glory and miraculous deeds. For his purpose unfolded in the hearts of his people, shaping them into a nation set apart, marked by unyielding faith. The road would not always be easy, nor the future free of trials, yet through Moses, God had wrought a great deliverance, one that would resonate throughout history. His sovereign hand remained upon them, guiding into the unknown, inviting them to trust as the miraculous story continued to unfurl. And so it is for us, dear friends, in our own journeys, as we face our trials and tribulations. Remember the faithfulness of our God, who delivers, restores, and redeems. Your own miraculous story is still being written. Let us embrace the path laid before us, with faith as our guide. If this story of divine transformation and redemption speaks to your heart today, this is the moment to help spread biblical truth. You need to subscribe now to stay connected to God's Word, so you never miss a story that could radically change your life. Leave a like now to help spread God's message through the algorithm, so more souls can encounter the treasure of His grace. Comment below your reflections on how this biblical story has impacted your faith, and don't wait even one more second to share this powerful testimony with at least 5 friends who need to hear of God's truth. Let us join together in proclaiming His wondrous deeds, igniting hope in every heart.